comes to this edition of the news wrap from Sports Today. Yesterday until the final over of the IPL 2023 league stages, you did not know who your fourth team was going to be, whether it was going to be RCB, whether it was going to be Mumbai Indians. But when Shubman Gill hit that six, a million hearts sank. There was pin drop silence at the M. Chinnaswamy Stadium because yet another season, it was a what-if season for Royal Challengers Bangalore. Royal Challengers Bangalore could not defend a total of 197, and that is the reason why they have been eliminated from the playoff race, and that is the reason why Mumbai Indians are the fourth team in the IPL playoffs. So, Gujarat Titans versus Chennai Super Kings on Tuesday, followed by Lucknow Super Giants versus the Mumbai Indians on Wednesday. First qualifier, eliminator, both at Chepauk. Now, during the course of the match, there were two particular incidents which I will highlight in this edition of the news wrap, because one was an injury, the other was the unfortunate and absolutely vicious trolling that was subjected to players after RCB's loss. One is the injury update on Virat Kohli. So, when Virat Kohli took the catch of Vijay Shankar yesterday, he was seen hobbling and he had suffered a knee injury apparently. There were a lot of anxious faces. There were a lot of people praying that nothing goes wrong for Virat Kohli because he is needed for the ICC World Test Championship that will begin on June 7th. He was seen in the dugout after that. He did not feel much and he wore a very anxious look. He was in tears when RCB lost. But however, there is some very good news that the knee injury is just minor. It is not going to impact Virat Kohli for the World Test Championship. So that is very good news if you are a Virat Kohli or an Indian cricket team fan, that the injury that Virat Kohli suffered, the knee injury that he suffered, it is not serious. Now, there are reports that Virat Kohli will be heading to England on May 23rd for preparing for the World Test Championship. As I have been saying, players will leave in batches as their teams are eliminated. After that, they will be practicing and acclimatizing in England in order to ensure that they are ready for the ICC World Test Championship that will be played on June 7th at the Oval. So, Virat Kohli is not having a serious knee injury, and that is a major relief because he didn't field after that. He was in the dugout hoping that Royal Challengers Bangalore pull off a miracle. But unfortunately, his team could not, and Shubman Gill trumped Virat Kohli. What a splendid knock from Shubman Gill. It was a question of two back-to-back centuries. Virat Kohli had hit a century against Sunrisers Hyderabad, so did Shubman Gill. Virat Kohli hit a brilliant in a century when you look at it and put RCB in the hunt. But unfortunately, what happened after that? Shubman Gill trumped him with a brilliant 104. And the strike rate. Very important to point out the strike rate. Virat Kohli 165. Shubman Gill nearly 200. What was the difference? Support. For ages and ages, Virat Kohli has been lacking support. You cannot win an IPL title based on just 3 players and 1 bowler. What about Gujarat Titans? Shubman Gill could play in a particular strike rate because he had gotten support from Vijay Shankar. That 123 run stand with Vijay Shankar scoring a 50 ensured that Gujarat Titans were on course and Shubman Gill could bat the way he could. What about Cameron Green? Because he had support from Rohit Sharma, he could bat at a strike rate of over 200. And also because the Wankhede pitch was different. What about Virat Kohli? He lost wickets at crucial intervals. Faf went cheaply, Maxwell went cheaply, Maipal Lobror fell cheaply, DK fell cheaply. It was a stop-start innings. That's why Virat Kohli had to operate with a strike rate of 166. What can he do about it? That's the thing. RCB have always been handicapped with the fact that they have only played about 3 batters and 1 bowler. There can be no sympathy for the RCB team management that they have been so short-sighted that they were so myopic when you had to go for the auction and pick a proper team. None of the Indian contingent batters clicked. And that is the reason why RCB lost. But RCB's loss saw some vicious trolling. Wayne Parnell was abused. But toxic fans and toxic fan bases crossed the line when Shubman Gill was abused. One fan, so-called fan, who had put up a Virat Kohli photo, and he is said the reign of Virat, one of the users where he had put out an Instagram thread on Shubman Gill's sister. That meant that the fans, the so-called fans, had once again crossed the line. We have been highlighting the fact that toxic fan bases make a team really, really bad. And yesterday, unfortunately, the same toxic fan bases ensured that the loss or the win would be sullied. It was also not helped by a very tasteless post from Naveen Ulhaq. Fine, whatever happened on May 1, who was right, who was wrong, it is subjective. Virat was wrong, Gambhir was wrong, Naveen was wrong. You could agree to that. The trolling and whatever were the back and forth posts that Virat Kohli did and Naveen Ulhaq did, you could say that it was stretching it a bit too far. But Naveen Ulhaq's post yesterday, that Insta post wherein he mocked RCB after the loss, that was tasteless. And there can be no more sympathy for Naveen Ulhaq after this because he could very well claim that, okay, it's a freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Right, I had the right to do what I wanted to do on my social media. Fair enough. But then you have to be ready then for abuse. Because toxic fan bases in this country do not let things remain what is on the field to stay on the field. It will be off the field as well. We have to understand one very important thing here. This culture of sportsmanship, this culture of abuse, everything has changed because of social media. Social media is the cesspool where you can actually get a lot of flack and abuse. It's not a medium of upliftment, and trolls have utilized this in the best possible way. Naveen Ulhaq's post yesterday, two sides of the story. One, it was his freedom of expression, and that is why he's posted it on his personal social media. You can hide behind the garb of personal social media thing. Unfortunately, toxic fan bases have ensured that Naveen Ulhaq plays to that gallery. So that is why it was a tasteless comment. A very tasteless comment from Naveen Ulhaq, and I'm sorry, there can be no sympathy for him because you may argue that on May 1st, certain things happened. But after this post, Naveen Ulhaq has lost whatever little sympathy was there. So that is why it is a really a big problem. So Naveen Ulhaq's post, the vicious trolling that players got, Wayne Parnell got, even Shubman Gill got from this toxic fan base that's there. And it's not just any particular team. Every team has social media toxic fan bases. Fans, unfortunately, and this is a message for me to all those so-called fans. You can hide behind the garb of being a fan. You can all hide behind posting a photo of an icon and hailing him. But when you use that same photo and you abuse using that icon as a garb, then I'm sorry, you are not fans. Criticism in a country like India is very difficult. It is because of toxic fans, idol worshippers who just worship blindly. That is the problem. So that is why these fan bases yesterday, the fans, the so-called cricket fans, in quote unquote, they crossed the line. And I hope that in the future, some of them name and shame these particular individuals, because there can be no sympathy now from this point in time. Virat Kohli, when You could say that at one point in time when Steve Smith was being abused, he stepped in. When other players got abused, when Rishabh Pant was being mocked with MS Dhoni chants, Virat Kohli stepped in. Will Virat Kohli step in and issue maybe a statement on the fan basis that whatever has been done, it is not the spirit? I hope he does it, because for years it has been legitimized, and that is the major problem now. The abuse that Shubman Gill got, you ensure that on that day a million fans died, because a million fans cannot behave like that. You have to name and shame the perpetrators. It's as simple as that. Because trolling has to stop. It's just a sport after all. Wayne Parnell did the most difficult thing and he bowled well in the power play. He couldn't defend 8 runs of 6 balls. Big deal. Many brilliant, many legendary bowlers have never been able to do that. Who has been able to do it? So, this trolling is an unfortunate byproduct of all this, and that's why we hope that future fans tend to realize, people should realize that it's just a sport. They cannot hide behind the garb of a legend. Virat Kohli is a legend. Do not abuse his photo. Do not abuse other fans by hiding behind his photo or hiding behind his legendary status. Virat Kohli is much, much, much higher than all of us. Respect him. And if you really want to be fans, respect others. That is what Virat Kohli does. Respect others. But sometimes even Virat Kohli can forget. May 1 is a classic case. So from cricket now, let us shift our attention to other sports. And Manchester City, in their first game after being crowned champions, they now defeated Chelsea 1-0. And it sums up Manchester City's dominance. They are now on the cusp of a treble, which is going to be really, really important. So Manchester City, indeed, they are going to be a really, really potent force in European football at this point in time. Now, when it comes to the wrestling updates, well, there is a major announcement that the wrestlers will actually hold a protest in front of the new parliament on May 28th. That is going to be a very, very vicious situation, because the wrestlers were going to make a big announcement. They made it. They are now going to protest in front of the new parliament that is going to be there on May 28th. And remember, some of the wrestlers were not allowed to enter the Arun Jaitley Stadium because of the current ongoing protests. Some of the fans came and they said, give justice to our wrestlers. May 28th, there's going to be a major protest in front of the new parliament. Now, when I look back at the world of football, there was yet another racist incident that was targeted towards Vinicius Jr. I mean, it yet again underlines the ugliness that is there amongst the fans. I mean, Vinicius Jr. is one of the best football players, yet he is subjected to racial chants. That means racism is an even bigger problem. And this is where football needs to step. And many organizations in the past, UEFA, FIFA, have given a very, very big statements when it comes to racism. And this is the unfortunate thing. Fans are like that. They never listen. And many of the ultras in the garb of supporting their team and trying to get under the skin of their opponents, they cross the line. If anybody indulges in racist behavior, they have to be named, shamed, and arrested. As simple as that. But will the authorities ever have the guts to do that? Because the jails will be totally full if racist chants are there. So that is why the problem of trolling, the problem of racism, two sports, cricket and football, it is a really, really big problem. And that is why it's a big problem in Europe. It's a big problem in India, trolling and racism. We hope that fans someday get some sense, because they can abuse a whole lot of people, these so-called fans. They can abuse journalists, they can abuse anybody, but there is a difference. Journalists never ever respond. A very fair majority of them never respond back because they are down to professional obligations. Fans, they have to look at their conscience. So that's why whatever happened in the GT RCB game yesterday, It was not in poor light. Naveen Ulhaq in particular, he plays to the gallery of these so-called fans, and that's why his post was tasteless, deserves no sympathy. So thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this edition of the News Wrap. We'll be back with more updates. Tomorrow is the first qualifier, GT versus CSK at Chepauk. One last chance for the Unbudhan to see MS Dhoni in action this season at the Chepauk. Tap that bell icon so you know when we go live, and don't forget we are on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well. Thank you.